Welcome to episode number 76, if you can believe it, of the Between Two Brands podcast. I'm your host, Bill Petrie, and really excited for the show today. I have a return guest, and I always love that. Going to dig deep into some stuff there. But, before we get rolling, why don't we go ahead and pay the rent, shall we? There is so much good coming out of our friends at Bell Promo these days. Here's just a few things. Lowest minimums in the industry? Yeah, you can Bell Promo that. Deepest inventory around? Of course you can Bell Promo that. 5-star and A+ service? You can Bell Promo the heck out of that. How about 2-day production on most of their products? Oh, you can absolutely Bell Promo that as well. Now, if that weren't enough, and I think it really should be, the good folks at Bell Promo have a few other things to share. How about Made in the USA merch? We're turning 250 in a week or two. Yeah, you can Bell Promo that. Free shipping on tech and apparel items? Of course, you can Bell Promo that as well. Head over to bellpromo.com to see all their amazing products, and you can feel confident that when your client asks you to create branded merchandise that's available, low minimums, 2-day production, you can tell them, yep, I can Bell Promo that. All right. So, opening shot today, really wanted to talk about an event I attended last week as I'm recording this. Excuse me. I was fortunate enough to be asked by Mike Simzak and Jason Lukash to speak at Rupt Summer Camp. And going into the event, of course, I was excited. I know Mike and Jason, I've known them for years and know that when they choose to do something, it's full throttle the entire way. And certainly it was that case last week. But having produced several large scale networking events with Promocations with my partner, Josh Robbins, I went in with a little bit of a different perspective, having, again, seen the behind the scenes of it. For those of you who don't know, Rupt Summer Camp was about 80 or so promotional products professionals coming to Moab, Utah. Not an easy place to get to, but honestly, that's part of the point, that it's not easy to get to. What summer camp is easy to get to. But getting together, sharing ideas, and talking really about the future of the industry. And if you know Mike and Jason, they are really focused on disrupting the industry. Heck, the name of their company, Rupt. Where do you think it came from? Anyway, so it was a fantastic event. The setting was outstanding, and it did feel like summer camp, right down to just about every detail. And of course, the merch was nothing short of phenomenal. In fact, I think most people had to bring an extra suitcase to get it back. I packed light, so I was able to bring mine back. But I'm sure you've seen the pictures and you've seen the event from a distance, and it probably created some FOMO. I know it did with a lot of my friends who I've chatted with. And what I can tell you is that the best part of the event, honestly, the memory of it. And that's pretty rare. Usually leaving an event, I'm like, I'm ready to get home. It was fine, but it's over. Looking back on that event, it was just the right amount of time. Wasn't ready to leave, but it was fine leaving. But just thinking about the connections I met so many people that I have never met before. And I'm not sure in what setting I would have had the opportunity to meet them, which to me means that the event was a rousing success. Again, Jason, Mike, the entire Rupt team did such a fantastic job. And it was another reason it was different is everybody was really relaxed. There wasn't this and it reminded me of Promocations in that respect, that there was not this level of uptightness that we see at a lot of industry events. It was really like a summer camp, and it was so comfortable that I decided to debut Prison Bill based off of Prison Mike in the Office. So I'm not going to get too deep into that. You kind of had to be there. I don't think I'd want to recreate it here, but it was a lot of fun. So what I left with more than anything was this overwhelming feeling. This is exactly the type of event this industry needs more of. Like I said, this is not a plug for Promocations, but it did remind me of Promocations when you see a group of 70 or 80 people come who are individuals come together and leave as a group. That's an amazing thing. And I remember talking to both Jason and Mike about that on the last night. I said, having done this before, I know you're running around, but take a minute and just look around. These are a group of individuals that now are together because of you. there was deep education at the event about activations, print on demand, and becoming more than just a promotional products distributor. I thought the education was very much on point. Had the shared experiences, which any event really needs, either hiking in Moab or doing a Hummer tour. It was a really cool way, not only to see a part of the world I'd never seen, but also get to know some people I hadn't before. And then again, that bonding of the group, that's the thing that really sticks with me. So it's a great memory. And I think they're going to do it again next year. I certainly hope that they do. But if you get an opportunity to go to Rupt Summer Camp or an event like that, man, get off the bleachers, get into the game, and go. Because I cannot tell you how happy I am to have met the people I've met. You're going to see quite a few of them on the podcast in the coming weeks, quite frankly. Get to know some people I knew a little better and really just have that experience of, yeah, I was able to go do that. So get off the bleachers and into the game. All right, so that's enough of me yakking. Let's go ahead and pay the bill before we bring on our guest, right? You know what season it is? Yeah, it's summer, but it's also business valuation season. Now, maybe you don't know what your company's worth. Maybe it's been more than a few years since your last valuation and you need a new benchmark to see if your company's increasing in value. Heck, you might just want to see if it's time to sell your business. Now, regardless of the reason, Jamie Watson and the experts at Certified Marketing Consultants, they have extensive experience in the world of branded merchandise and the financial knowledge necessary to provide a fact-based valuation of your business. All you need to do is email them at info@certifiedmarketing.com to have a confidential discussion today. All right, let's go ahead and bring on our guest. My guest today, he does not need an introduction, but you know what? He's not important, so we're going to waste his time. We're going to waste your time. We're going to waste my time. No, he's very important. He is the CEO and fifth generation owner of Warwick Publishing Company in St. Charles, Illinois. And by the way, celebrating their 100-year anniversary here in 2026. Now, for the last half decade, he has been leading the charge in revitalizing what Warwick brings to market and how they operate in the cross-sectional space between commercial printing and the branded merchandise space. Now, driven by his passion for excellence, he leans heavily on his engineering background as he takes an aggressive yet very technical approach to growth, sustainability, efficiency in the promotional products market while blending the complex nature of commercial printing. Now, he is a 2023 Rising Star from PPAI and is on the board of directors for the Promotional Products Association of Chicago and Wisconsin. Additionally, under his leadership, Warwick was recognized with Counselor's Family Business of the Year 5 years ago in 2021, the City of St. Charles inaugural Made in St. Charles Award in 2023, and just recently on the PPAI 100 2026 edition, the number 68 slot. Pretty impressive stuff. Please join me in welcoming one of the good ones, my good friend, Alex Paschal.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Glad to be here and glad to grace everyone's ears once again.
You are, and I said you weren't important, but you're so very important.
I don't know. I think you're greasing me up, man.
No, not at all. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Warwick is celebrating 100 years, and I think that's phenomenal. You and I have talked about it offline. Here's something I would like to know your perspective, though. So I have a couple questions here. What's your earliest memory of Warwick?
Oh, man. Earliest memory of Warwick, we used to do, back before regulations got a little funky, we used to do Take Your Kid to Work Day. And we would have dozens of the, 5, 10 of those every single year. And the earliest recollection I have is walking around, and I might have been 5 or 6 years old on Take Your Kid to Work Day. And for some reason, the lady who was giving the tour, I just didn't like. And I distinctly remember firing her on the spot, like you're fired kind of style, like big table, everything.
Were you backed up? Were you backed up by anybody in the building?
Well, no. So I did it 1 year, and then the next year I did not realize that I did it a second time, and I definitely didn't know my dad and uncle were getting ready to actually fire her.
Oh.
So that's always like the first story we talk about. And there's some other good ones out there where like we did trick or treating one time and some staff members weren't given a heads up. So they were panicking, like, oh, it's the boss's son. We got to give him something. So they're like handing money, change and dollar bills. And then my dad went back and like, no, give this back.
Yeah. That's not a
Uh,
bad gag, by the way. The hey, boss's son's coming around. Better give him a few coins here and there.
I do distinctly remember telling my mom, I tend to get more at home at Warwick trick or treating than I do the neighborhoods. What's up with that? Mom's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry, you'll
So,
understand when you're older. And
so
now I do.
what was it like growing up in the business?
Man, I mean, we can make a lot of child labor jokes here or there, but honestly, it's home. I mean, we just go up the road right there, about a half mile. My high school is there. If you go 2 miles down the road, my middle school's there, and obviously elementary is close to where I lived. We were always here, but it was never for any definitive purpose. And just okay, Dad's here, hang in here for a little while, or come help with this, or in slow season, come by and see everyone. Because back in the day when we were just calendars, you could hear a pin drop between February and basically July in our building. There was really nothing happening. So that's when we did all the fun things. People took time off. That's when we were always here. It was very much family oriented, very much, I knew everyone, and still, like, even in college when I was away, I'd come back and I still knew everyone. I was involved, and we just picked up like where we left off.
Love that. You're a fifth generation owner. What responsibility do you feel?
Oh, we got to protect the house, got to protect our people. I mean, there are 70 families who place their trust and faith in us to keep the money coming in for them, and keep their roofs over their houses and roofs over their families, and food on the table. I mean, that ultimately you keep it going for them. You keep things. I mean, everything from making sure the revenue's coming in, to making sure health insurance is affordable, to making sure the hours work with where school hours line up, because most of our team is parents with kids in school age. Making sure all those variables are lined up so that people are working so they can live, not living so they can work.
I love that answer. I've a lot of companies say, yeah, we put our people first, and some mean it, some don't. I can tell you without any sort of reservation, having been up there, having spent time in the facility, Warwick is a company that absolutely cares about the people that make the company function.
Yeah, one of my favorite things we do is our hour structure. We are not your traditional 9 to 5s, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. We actually have a little bit of a modified schedule: 8.5 Monday through Thursday, 6 on Fridays. So basically, everyone's out of here with what feels and amounts to a half day on Friday, but that's
Yeah,
year round.
I love
Um,
that.
Simple little things like that. We just try and 1% adds up a lot.
It
Oh,
does. And culture's not a pizza party on Fridays. That's how you build culture, by saying, we value your time out of this facility, not just in it.
I don't remember the last time we did like a management sponsored pizza, because
Yeah.
it's usually someone deciding to bring it in on a whim, not because it's, hey, this is what we're doing. Because I
Right.
mean, I see all the social media content of everyone talking about, oh, corporate did this instead of a bonus, or did this. Okay, we don't need to fall into that trap. We're not doing
No,
that.
not at all. Now, I've known you for quite a while, and you and I have had some really, really, really deep conversations. And usually, when I'm talking about you to someone, I often refer to you as an old soul. And I mean that. When you're done being CEO, what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh man.
Yeah, I ask the questions people are
Oh,
afraid to ask.
oh man, you asked that just as I just turned 30 a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So unfortunately that's a ways off, but I want the business to still be, if not a better version of what it is culturally and for its people. All America is basically made of all small businesses, and we are part of that picture. I'd love to be a larger small business in that pool, because that means
Sure.
we're taking care of more people, and we're taking care of more clients. We're making things happen for everyone. But at the end of the day, I want to leave behind that we're an ethical employer. We took care of our people. We took care of our clients, and people are happy with when they see the word Warwick attached to something, whether they're a client, an employee, or a vendor, they're happy with us.
Love that answer. Now, you could have followed your own path. You were not. It was
Mhm.
not legislated by the Paschal family that you must work at Warwick. So you could have done this either in the industry, outside the industry. Why did you intentionally choose Warwick?
I really got the tap on the shoulder. That's what, we had some family medical stuff going on, and I was planning on going a completely different route with chemical engineering. That's what my studies were. And, my dad basically tapped me on the shoulder and says, hey, your uncle's health isn't doing great. I need the help. Will you please put that on pause and come help out? And it ended up being the right decision, because here I am.
Yeah, for a young leader, You are incredible, and I'm not just saying that because you're on this podcast at all. I really mean that. You really that old soul thing actually works. You do have that. I think your dad probably saw that in you as well.
Well, and I benefit from having parents that were a little bit on the older side. I mean, they were in their early 40s when I was born, so
Yeah,
they definitely imparted. There's a full generation gap between my peers' parents and where my parents fell, and that
sure.
does show. And between the music that I listen to, the things I like to do for leisure, how much I'm not on my phone,
Yeah,
it's a stark contrast.
absolutely. And the fact that you still use a jitterbug, I think, is fantastic. So
Yeah,
congrats to you.
absolutely. AM radio too.
What's AM radio?
Mhm.
Okay. Let's shift gears a little bit. We all have stories where we have screwed up as we're learning this industry. I want to know the biggest mistake you've ever made at a trade show.
Biggest mistake I've ever made at a trade show.
Yeah, whether the booth didn't get there, you didn't have the right whatever. Something has to have happened at a trade show.
Biggest mistake at a trade show was missing a start time.
Oops.
Yup. It was
How did you
definitely
do
when
that?
it was January 2020, obviously before the world kind of flipped on its head.
Yeah, last
Um,
expo before COVID, right?
yeah, the expo that my dad and I both think we got COVID at and didn't know it at the time. I think half the industry got COVID at and didn't
We
know it at
we
the time.
we all got it from Steve Wozniak, convinced of it because he had just come back from Wuhan. Seriously,
Man,
I
I
really
don't,
believe it.
I don't know. I think there are some more fun figures in our industry we can blame that would have a good chuckle at it.
Not on this podcast.
Yeah, no, you right. You right.
That's a
No, so I
conversation not recorded.
yeah, that was my first trade. I had started January 2nd of 2020. And obviously I grew up with the business, so I knew more than just the basics. And I distinctly remember my dad and Phil always saying, you know, trade show starts this time. It doesn't really start at that time. It'll start later. And we had booth meetings right at the open of the show floor, like 5 minutes after the open, and I straight up missed them. And thankfully, other team members are there. But if you think I didn't get chewed out like a good military chew out, oh, I got dressed
Well,
down right
and
on that floor.
which I can see, but also knowing you, you are exquisitely punctual. And
Mhm.
yet it's one of the traits you and I share in common. In fact, I always record these from home. I have better internet than in my office and all that. Just I like the setup better. And so I was in the kitchen doing something real quick, and I came back, and it's 7 minutes till recording, and I see a little message. Alex Pascal's joined your Zoom meeting. I'm like, yep, that's on brand. So for you to have missed a start time,
Yep.
that you must have died. Not only did you get chewed out, you must have died 1,000 deaths on your own.
Yeah, a little bit, especially considering who the customer was that we missed the
Yeah,
meeting with,
yeah,
or at least that I missed the meeting with. But
yeah,
when you hear everyone talk about how like, oh, this certain amount of time, especially in day one, no one's there. They're at registration, they're doing this, they're at education, all that. You're like,
yeah,
that's not important. I'll show up an hour late. It'll be
yeah,
fine. Mm-mm. No,
yeah.
no.
I bet, and I would probably throw that under the category of never again. Um, I
My
remember,
until he passed, my dad, when I was at a show, he would require start time of the show. I want a selfie in the
yeah,
booth with your watch as the timestamp.
that's funny. That's actually very funny. I think, when my brief dalliance where I had a booth at a trade show at Expo when I was working for Promo Corner for 3 years. I think the only mistake we ever made was when Promo Corner was turning 21. And my idea for the booth, because it's hard as a service provider that sells digital marketing to have a booth in Vegas, but it was very important to Promo Corner. And so we kept doing it. I'm like, what do we do? Well, we're turning 21. We will have a bar in our booth. So, which was a colossal mistake. Sounds good. Sounds really
Mm-hmm.
good. But we bought like a bar on Wayfair, um, shipped it to Vegas, built it, had to build it in Vegas, which was a pain. I didn't do most of it. I think it was Brandon Petrie that did most of that. But then dealing with Freeman, you had to have somebody come in your booth. You couldn't touch any of the alcohol. It was and you're talking, we had two types of beer, like a Heineken. I can't remember what the other one was. And each bottle of beer was like $18.
Ugh.
Yeah. And so we started handing out beer at 3:30. show's pretty much dead. We're dead. And it was just it was one of those things, man, it looked great on paper, but when it was executed, it was
The
like,
idea was definitely there. I mean, I think, and a lot of our industry talks about how great PSI is at a show at
yeah,
not being a trade show and being a little bit
yeah,
more networking. I think there's definitely some opportunities to draw inspiration there, but this is one of those like in the American market, because that happens all the time over at PSI.
yeah,
Not going to work until we get some changes on how our show teams work,
yeah.
Freeman or other, until they
No.
change some of this rigidity of it.
And that will change in about a quarter past ever. Okay, Alex, you are part of a fantastic group of leaders, young leaders, and other next generation family owners. I know you network with them quite a bit. What guidance could you or would you give others taking over a family business?
Oh, so my takeover has been a little bit of a rapid, not so
Sure,
much planning, a little more by the, shooting from the hip almost, so
sure.
to speak. I mean, basically in 18 months, I went from being a project manager to running the whole show. So I think the best thing I could help someone with would be crisis management, short term. Oh God, I got to do something right now. I need some commentary. Yep, call me. Let's talk. Let's go. What do we got going on? Because I wasn't exposed to the long term 10, 15, 20-year transition plan.
Right.
And I give Geiger a huge amount of credit and example. I know Pete and Gene are doing everything they can to set David up for success, and I love to see it. Polar opposite scenarios. I wouldn't be good helping in that regard. I would
Yeah.
be good helping in the, all right, we got to go now. What do we got to shore up?
Yeah.
That's where, commentary and advice I could give would be in that realm.
I think that's great. I think that's great. I do like to end some of these podcasts with a little bit of a rapid fire. And so we're going to play a little rapid fire Warwick 100 edition. So
Yeah.
for those of you who haven't listened to this podcast before, there are no wrong answers. I'm just going to ask Alex a quick question. He gives me his answer. That's it. Again, no right or wrong answers here at all. So there's nothing to fear, right?
Yeah, right. Of course.
All right. Favorite product?
Favorite product, yard signs.
Favorite decorating method?
Ooh, puff embroidery.
I would have thought you said foil stamp, but that's okay. I like
Oh, puff embroidery. I love. I 5Bs does a really good job. I've seen a lot of their hats in their booth. Headwear does good ones too. Oh man, I see them. I'm like, I wish we could do that.
What about favorite decorating method at Warwick?
Oh man, favorite decorating method. I still love offset printing. I
Okay.
still love the traditional method and get me my plates, my screens, and let's go.
Okay. Favorite machine in your plant?
Ooh, the digital cutter.
Okay. Part of the manufacturing process that excites you the most?
Prototyping.
All right. And this is my question here. Best way to unwind after a long day at the trade show?
Quiet corner with a couple of your friends, drink, talking about all the people you saw.
Love that. Love that. Alex, is there anything you want to talk about? I didn't even ask. Is there anything you want to talk about?
Oh man. I don't think I've got anything major to talk
Okay.
about.
All right. But you know what? Here's the thing. It's my podcast. We can just end it here. But before we do, hey, let's say a huge thanks to our friends over at Bell Promo, Susan Lewandowski, Alex Moltz, a lot of the great people over there for sponsoring this absolutely platinum level, century level podcast. Hey, when you're looking for the lowest minimums, deepest inventory, 5-star and A+ service, you know you can Bell Promo that. Alex, thank you so much for joining me today. It's always good to see you. We don't talk enough. I hate that we have to do it on a podcast sometimes.
Yeah, but it's always a pleasure even when we get to. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it.